More than 3,000 people protest against Luxembourg's COVID-19 policies. More than 3,000 people gathered this Friday evening in front of the Philharmonie in Luxembourg City to oppose the government's management of the COVID crisis, which is expected to get stricter in the coming days. The third so-called White March took place on Friday evening, with more than 3,000 people setting off from the Philharmonie to the Chamber of Deputies to send a message to the government. Xavier Bettel, the Prime Minister, announced a tightening of measures to encourage vaccination. From 18 October, the government will impose the COVID check in the catering sector, leisure activities, and even in the world of work. From 1 November onwards, homemade rapid tests will no longer be accepted. In this way, the government intends to speed up vaccination, which has slowed down in recent weeks. When it comes to vaccination, freedom of choice must remain an untouchable fundamental value, the protesters argue. More importantly to them, children should not be involved. The next march will take place on 29 October. The government submitted amendments to the new COVID law on Friday morning. The controversial provision that allows companies and administrations to introduce the COVID check regime at work will remain in the text for the new COVID law next week. However, the sentence which suggests employees should be forced to show a COVID check certificate has been removed. The amendment followed remarks made by the Council of State, which raised a number of queries regarding the application of the COVID check system at work. Rapporteur Mars Di Bartolomeo told RTL that workers would fall under the normal regime of COVID check as a result of the amendments. On Wednesday, the OGBL, LCGB and CGFP unions rejected the proposal for an optional COVID check at work for lack of practical details, including respect for private data, the duty to inform staff delegation, possible sanctions against employees, and the right to free-of-charge testing. The government is set to meet with the unions on Friday afternoon following the Government Council discussion. The Human Rights Advisory Commission also criticized the expansion of the COVID check regime on the ground that it could cause a further split in society. However, the Medical College welcomed the decision of the authorities to extend the COVID check beyond hospitality or cultural activities. The population's interest in vaccinations has risen somewhat following the government's announcement last week. The new COVID rules will come into force next Tuesday from midnight, meaning the COVID check system will be mandatory for all indoor activities. It will remain dependent on company bosses as to whether it is implemented within the workplace. As a reminder, the COVID check system is issued to people who are fully vaccinated, recovered from COVID within the last 6 months, or with a negative test result. A PCR test is valid for 72 hours after collection, a rapid antigenic test 48 hours.